Hey guys, today I wanna maybe come at you with what I think is one of my most unique questions that I've ever asked on this channel, and that's what what comes after the nation state? Um, and what exactly do I mean by that? Well, for those of you that don't know, our current way of looking at states or countries is around 200-ish years old, and it was based on the theories of a guy called Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. And yeah, his sort of thing, basically oversimplifying it, because it's been a long time since I read the Phenomenology of Spirit, and it made me fall asleep. But basically, he thought that history progressed towards some better future always, and it was the responsibility of a people within a state unified by a common culture and language um to sort of bring this about. um and that's been our understanding of what a state should be for, the last 2 centuries. But I want to ask, what comes after it, because before this point, the concept of a nation, um it wasn't like what we would think of it today. Yeah, it referred to a people with all those common characteristics, but not in the way in which we now think they should form states, right? Singularly. In fact, the word nation comes from Latin natio, from the verb natus, which means to have been born or to be born. And that's literally all it meant, a place that you were born in. That was your nation. But of course, before this point, in the feudal era in Europe, and where in most other places in the world, it didn't work like that. States were, this sort of might makes right combination of political dealings and conquest. And this often, and still does, include tons of people, multi-ethnic people, and that's one of the limits, in my opinion, of the nation state. So, and our solutions to these sorts of problems recently, at least in Europe and the rest of the world sort of copies, is to have supranational unions like the European Union, the African Union, and even there are even sub-unions within the East African Union, which are being talked about. The East African Union, which would be kind of cool, I think. But yeah, the most well-known one of those supranational unions is the European Union. And despite their own countries still having their own sovereignty, they're still part of this union where they share some a basic core set of laws and the currency and trade policies and all of this stuff, but yet they're still ethnically distinct, and this for the most part has been able to keep the peace in Europe. um I know the European Union didn't officially form until like the 1990s, with in a way we could recognize it today, but of course there was its and there were its antecedents like the European um Steel and Energy Commission and stuff like that. So we'll just say, for sake of convenience, since the end of the Second World War. That is until the current situation in Ukraine, where that Russian gas, boys and girls, sort of destabilized the Union, especially because Germany, who depended heavily on them for that gas, was a sort of leader in the Union. Let's be honest. It's supposed to be a union inter pares, right? Among equals, but let's be real, bros. Germany and France are sort of like primus and secundus inter pares, respectively, first and second among equals. So yeah, that entire situation threw a wrench in the okay, this is the best system of government we have for now. And um I'm gonna be honest, guys, I don't know, I'm not smart enough to know yet. Maybe I will be in the future to know what comes after the nation state. But I did want to try to at least present an alternative, and that's to crank the sort of supranational concept of like decreased trade barriers and stuff like that, and unified currency to 11. And this comes from a paper, a 2021 paper actually, so fairly recent, of these two lawyers sort of, pondering about that. And it's to have a council of nations that passes universal laws that apply to every nation on earth. And so it's basically like the United Nations on steroids. And yeah, obviously there are problems with this, like, human cultures are so varied. And so how would you even coordinate something like that? I'm sure we could agree on the basics: no oofing anyone, no stealing anything, stuff like that. But more of the specifics around economics, marriage, stuff like that, that would be crazy. Another thing is the studies. I'm not sure I agree with the studies' definition of globalism. To them, globalism is countries becoming more like Europe, which I'm not sure where they got that, because globalism to me is just countries becoming more like each other through the free exchange of ideas. I'd like that's kind of Eurocentric, but um yeah, what do you guys think? Could something like that work? Could a United Nations on steroid work? I would definitely love to hear your thoughts on that. All right, guys. Bye.